Thanks for joining us today. Brandon and I wanted to dedicate a whole episode of our podcast to really share why we actually co-founded Sparklight. If you've been following us for some time, some of you may know a little bit in piece of our story, but there's a whole lot more to it. And we just wanted to kind of take the time to do that.
We did. It's a very interesting story how we were brought together in the first place. I had just lived through being a caretaker for my husband, who had been ill for about 10 years. And in 2020, he passed away, not from COVID, but just from his own disease. And it was during that time that churches and things were all closed up, as you know. So when things started to open up in about 2021, 2022, I needed a place to go to that was different from where I had been. And so one Sunday morning, I just decided to try a new church that I always had known about but hadn't been to. And as I walked in, I just thought, well, people don't know me. It's a big church. And I remember saying to the greeter at the door, "Hi, I'm new here."
And then I had an out-of-body experience because I had been walking behind her, and unbeknownst to me, I didn't know who she was, obviously. And I was commenting with the people that I was with of the cute pants you had on. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so cute for a little old lady, right? And so as she stops at the door and says, "Hi, I'm new here," I wasn't in control, but my body like turns around and was like, "Oh, you're new here? Come with me." So I take her inside and I say, "Here's the welcome desk." And I say, "This is where I sit," because in our church we have a big auditorium like seating.
Very large.
Yeah. So I tell her where I'm sitting and I leave. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm never going to see her again because, new people, they tend to, want to slip in, slip out. They want to, sneak in the back and sit back there and go unnoticed and then leave. So I'm like, okay, well, I tried, right?
And interestingly enough, I went to a welcome desk where they asked me my name and so forth. And then when I was finished with that, I thought, well, I could do what Jenna says a lot of people do, and I might have done that, but she was so engaging with me that I thought, well, I'll look for her. And so I walk through these two doors, and there's this very large sanctuary, auditorium, and she said she was in the front, so I literally had to do that kind of thing where you're like really peering, like where could she be in this mass of people? And there she was, standing up, and somehow in that moment, we both locked eyes, and she gave me one of those, "Hey, I'm over here." And so I was like, yes, I'm headed straight to her. And one of the things that was so cool is it wasn't just that she invited me to sit with her, but she also asked me a little bit about myself, and we determined right then and there we had a connection.
We did. We had no idea that, I think it was a couple weeks after we'd met, that we would be starting a Bible study group that was being held at a different church, but it was the same one.
Right.
And we had no idea. And so that was really exciting. I think we were just like, oh my gosh.
I know. You're
like,
going to the same one I am. So that was really fun, wasn't it?
It was.
And so then we would go to this meeting. It was once a week. And we were in different groups because there was a lot of women that divided into groups, but we would come in, and when the whole group would come together, we would search each other out
every time.
Yeah,
and we always had really good conversation, and it was always, you know how sometimes you find that one person that you could just talk to forever and lose time, and it wouldn't be a big deal. Well, that's what it felt like for me when we first met, and so I kept wanting more, and I knew that. I knew talking to you it was so easy, but I also know people have lives, right? So I could sit there and talk to people forever usually too, but I know they have places to go and people to see. So that then turned into us deciding to go on a coffee date.
Yeah, unbeknownst to me, however. So I get there a little bit early. And so I order my coffee, and I think to myself, as soon as she comes, I'll get her coffee for her. So I see her, and she comes in, and we sit down, and we're getting ready. And I said, "Let me get you your cup of coffee." And she says, "Well, I gotta be honest with you. I don't like coffee."
Can't stand this stuff.
So I think we compromised with a hot chocolate.
We did.
And it was just a time for us to expand in our friendship, get to know each other.
I think you were even like, how do you go to a coffee date and not even drink coffee?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, well, I know that other people like coffee. Just because I don't like the stuff doesn't mean there isn't something on the menu for me.
That's right.
So I figured,
And
coffee is the best place to go,
it
right?
was really a very wonderful place.
Yes.
It was quiet, and we had a
We were there for hours.
long conversation,
Yeah.
right? Just sharing our stories, which continued to bring us closer together because we had a lot of what I would call shared experiences.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but maybe you have a friend or a person like that in your life. But if you don't, it'd be awesome to continue to listen to people's story, because the more I listened, I was like, she gets me.
I don't think I've ever met somebody that has as much shared experience like together that
true.
you and I do.
Yes.
That was kind of mind-blowing at the very beginning, because it's like, really?
I've been there.
Yes.
I've done that.
I know how you feel. And oh my gosh, I felt that too. And just our like, and the biggest overarching thing was that our voices had
That's
been pushed back, and we allowed other people to take them from us. And that was a crazy realization during that time.
And, we both had part-time jobs.
Yes.
And so we wanted to continue getting together. And I have a busy family life as well. And so Fridays were our sort of both, we didn't have to work on Fridays. And so we decided that we would just get together on Fridays.
Which turned into what I called Fran Fridays. And so it was funny because my son would always be like, "Oh, it's Fran Friday today, Mom. You going to Fran's house?" Like, it was the cutest thing.
And the more we got to know each other, the more we realized how we had a very similar path and journey of a feeling as if we hadn't really understood what our purpose in life was and where we were going to end up. For me, a little more so because I'm older. But even, for you, right?
Yeah, definitely for me. I think what really hit that off, and we didn't know, unbeknownst to us again, that a woman was going to come to our church and speak. And she spoke about dreams and goals. And I remember sitting there at the end of it, looked at you, my eyes big as saucers, going, holy cow, I want that. And I was like, how do we get that?
Well, it was so funny. I mean, it's almost like our brains were in sync, because even though she spoke out the words, I was like, I've had those kind of dreams. I've had those kind of, imaginations of my life that I wanted, but why am I not there? And so right then and there, we both knew something had to change.
We did. And at that point was again another turning point for us. We've been on a lot of twists and turns in this journey, but it's been an amazing journey. So with that turned into us listening to her. She became a mentor of ours, along with many others. And then you were looking into how to build our leadership, because we were both actually, even at that time, concurrently going through the same crazy work situation.
We were.
How does that even happen?
We could identify
Jesus, right?
You would come and say, "This is what happened to me today," and I'd say, "Wow, same kind of thing happened to me in this way." So this constant commonality that we felt was propelling us. Well, this individual had a course that we could take to help us, and so we started that journey.
We did, and then that moved into leadership. We moved into going to the Global Leadership Summit, which, man, that's the most. If you go to one thing, seriously consider the Global Leadership Summit. I hands down highly recommend going. It is such an electric place. We tried doing satellite campuses for the first 2 years, and this last year we went
Live.
and oh my gosh, it is so much better in person, and we had so much fun. We will probably always go live from now on. But so that led into leadership training and us getting better. And as you get better, your focus starts to shift and more things start to change. And we then had it laid on our hearts to co-found this ministry. And who would have thought? Because neither one of us thought we were on this path or trajectory.
Well, certainly not me.
Sure.
Um,
I remember that.
I mean, I looked at her and I said, both of us wanted our voices to be heard. We knew that there were a lot of people who were experiencing what we had experienced, even though there's this, perceived age difference. We don't feel it so much because we have these shared experiences, but there are people out there.
You're right. And I think even at the beginning when we were talking, though, I said to you, I think I'm supposed to propel you into the spotlight, and I'm supposed to be like the person that handles all the video and all that stuff and whatnot. And I remember you looking at me going, oh no. And then you were like, you're coming with me no matter what.
I am like, this is not what I would have dreamed of. But God sometimes steps into our lives or circumstances change in our life. And if you're open to it, all things are kind of possible. And
They
so
really are.
we're excited about the fact that we have gone this journey. We've gone through every step. And we've taken those steps, and we understand that it's kind of like a fire that you have in your life. See, we all are born with something inside of us, and we refer to that as the fire or the passion of our lives. And immediately we began to play on the concept of a fire of our lives. What happens with a fire?
Right. How does it dance? And why does a fire become embers? Or how does it grow into a signal fire?
That's right.
And all of a sudden, a lot of things in our lives started to make sense when we would start imagining and looking at things and really learning about fire and whatnot. It all started to make sense, and it all interwove together, and we were just again mind blown of the journey that we were being taken on, just going, wow, look at this.
So what happened to us is we began to understand that we were seeing things and habits in this period of the fire, and now we've begun to talk about we want to pursue our fire, and we want you to pursue your fire. So we're hoping that people will join us in pursuing fire in their lives, that spark.
Yes, we want everyone to discover their power that they have within inside them that was given to you from the moment that you were born into this world. We want to help you unlock your potential that you have inside you, because we didn't know what we had inside of us until we were, I would say, almost pushed, challenged.
Yeah, we were very challenged.
A little bit to say, well, come on, get on with it, right?
Exactly.
So we want other people to experience that, because sometimes you need that little nudge or that motivation and whatnot. And we're lucky because we have each other to motivate each other. Not everybody has someone or a cohort to do that. We're willing to be those people for you through our podcast and curriculums and things like that we're developing.
Yeah, and for me, being on the older end of this continuum here, is I have a passionate desire for young people to understand this, because maybe if I had, I could have avoided some of the pitfalls of my life. Because I'm on the other end of the age group, I have this really deep passion to make young people understand what their purpose is in life. And I really want them to avoid, I want you as young people to avoid some of the things that I got trapped into. And it's a journey.
It is a journey. But also, some of those traps that we fall into are not as in plain sight as we think they are. And we didn't realize that until we started talking and really also researching and learning about why do we do the things that we do and the path, go down the paths that we go on.
Yeah.
And that has really led us to then be able to help people relaunch their story, because both of us have done that. We, with our mentor, decided that we were going to do things differently, think things differently, and I would say the relaunch has been pretty awesome.
Really amazing. And that's what we want to lead you through. So, yes, we do our podcasts and we try to infuse some of the things that we're learning to help you learn. And if you go back to some of our previous podcasts, you'll start to see those little habits. I think that's the best word that we can use, that we had to start practicing in our life. But the thing is, when you know your purpose or that big dream that you have that you think I'm not capable of, the truth that you will learn is that you have it in you already and ready to go. You just have to believe it.
Yes, and one of the biggest things that we have learned is that mindset is everything. It controls everything. You have the power to control your mindset as well. And I don't believe that's not taught in school. I don't believe that people really think that or feel that or understand it. And so we have really tried to take the time to put together a course that we have called Pursue Your Fire. We have a boot camp that will be launching in January, which is a 3-day online experience for an hour a day with each of us. And then that will lead into us launching our full course on the habits through our journey and stories of us and our friends and other people who have been successful that we've helped coach and whatnot as well. That course is called Pursue Your Fire, and that will launch later in 2025.
And we're really excited about that. But here's the thing I want you to understand. You might say, that's great. Everybody who does a podcast has a curriculum, and everybody has a boot camp, and everybody. Well, yeah, we follow the kind of stream that people are in, but what makes us different, and I think it's critical for you to understand, what makes us different is we're going to stick with you.
Yes.
You can always get a hold of us through our website. You can always find ways to connect with us. But more importantly, we bring a perspective that's quite different. This is not to boast, but it's to give honor to the differences that we have in our ages. I am blown away by the technical experience, but also the wisdom of what Jenna has been learning in her journey. And she helps me, because I want to reach you young people, understand how young people can move along. And that's really important for us to help you not just hear it, but practically put into action.
Yes, and you have been able to help open up the conversation so that we can help bridge the gap, because right now we just had an amazing speaker come to our church, Tim Elmore, and he was talking about how there are 4 generations right now in the workforce. And so those younger generations are having a hard time communicating with the older generations there, because we communicate differently. We see the world differently. I remember in a class we were teaching, we were like, okay, gesture how you would answer a phone. And we were both like, so see the difference? So those are communication differences that generations have. And so because we're able to have those conversations, we're able to filter that and put it into our courses. So I feel they're more well-rounded because it's not just coming from a young person or coming from a more experienced person.
Yeah, because it's easy to dismiss an older person, like,
Yeah.
well, you're over here. And it's for an older person, it's easy to dismiss the younger people to say, well, you're all going in the wrong direction. This is how we did it.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that we are one as human beings. Age is a part of our journey, but how we communicate, the thoughts and the processes that we have are really very similar. And when we can say, I'm willing, and that's a big word, willing to develop the habit, and again, this is what we're learning, I in particular am learning to say, listen, just take the time. You know, if you're a young person out there, you're talking in acronyms.
Yeah.
And it took me forever. First time I saw LOL, I was like, I have no idea what that means. And there have been many like that. But when a young person says, oh, we use that as a quick way to say laugh out loud, well, I'm into it, acronyms and all.
Yeah. I would have to say you are one of the only people that I know that will actually take the time to learn. And I think even our guest speaker said it really well this weekend too, about the older generation also needs to have a willingness to learn.
This is right.
Because if we don't, we're not going to be successful together in the workforce. And I wholeheartedly believe that, because we sit here and have an older generation that sometimes their life cycle is they retire, and then shortly after that, because they don't have something to get up for or look forward to, they end up in a nursing home, and their kids and grandkids are growing up and getting into things such as sports and whatnot, and so they have a busy life, so visiting is not such a thing, and they start to feel left behind or invisible. And I don't want another person who's older than me to feel that way, because you have a purpose from the day you're born until the day you meet Jesus or
That's
whoever
right.
you feel your creator is. But you have a purpose, and it doesn't matter your age either, because you can always start going after that. If you think that, you've done this whole long career and then you're like, okay, well, now I'm really going to go after what I want to, you can do it.
I'm proof. I will say that I had a very long career. It was a great one. But I could see that my generation was slowly moving out of the career that I was in. New people were coming in with newer ideas and new ways of doing things. And it was really time for me to move on. And I was well into my retirement years, as we would think of it. But I just didn't feel like I was done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But did I think this was what I was going to do in my senior life? No. But I'm so excited that we have a plan to help you. There's no reason you should walk through life believing lies.
Right.
I mean, whether someone says, well, you're too poor, you have to go out to work, you can't get a college education because you can't afford it. No. Everything is possible when you believe in yourself and know your purpose. So we're excited that 2025 is going to bring us into a place where we can help you grow.
It is.
And that's what we do. Personal growth and leadership.
Yes. So if you are looking for a speaker or guest on your next podcast, Fran and I speak about personal growth and leadership to help people discover their power, unlock their potential, and relaunch their stories. Thanks for joining us today.